Welcome back to Movie Trailer Reviews podcast. Is your host Kriss here. We got Phenom, and we have the lovely Shanna joining us as well. We are here to review Sorry to Bother You, and an alternate present-day version of Oakland. Telemarketer Cassius Green discovers a magical key to professional success, propelling him to a macabre universe. It's directed by Boots Riley. It's also written by him. Stars Lakeith Stanfield, Tessa Thompson, Jermaine Fowler, Mr. Steal Your Girl, Stephen Yin, Danny Glover, and Terry Crews is in here. Omari Hardwick. Got a lot of people in this. Shannon, since you're the guest here, I'll let you go ahead and start because I know you also wrote a review that's going up as well about this movie. So, what do you think of this film?
I started to write a review. I haven't finished it because I had some coffee that has some stuff in it, and it was a little crazy. I live in Oakland, so my review of the movie is that it was amazing. Like, it hits, if you're from here, it hits everything. Like, everything that you love about this city, it hits it like on the head. So I don't understand how you can be from Oakland and not love this film.
One in particular things?
I mean, there's so much. I don't know, we're gonna get into like the details of it, but it's funny. It talks about gentrification. It talks about corporate America and how fucked up it is. It talks about, activism and wokeness between, real life having to get paid. And then it's very surreal and crazy and over the top. So it takes all this stuff and it's funny, but it's sad. I don't know. I just love it.
It's funny because I didn't tell you this when I went. Yeah, so after the movie was over, I went into the bathroom and I came. I don't know if you saw me go into the bathroom and I came out and I met you back out there. Yeah. I didn't go because I walked in and I don't know if it was two critics or to everybody else. But one was a white guy. He was like, "Man, I thought it was an okay movie." But then it got a little weird with the horse stuff later on, and I don't understand what they were doing there. I was like, "Yeah,
of course you don't."
Right, and I was just like, "Yeah, because." Just what you said, like it gets weird, but I feel like you say it's because you understand what it represents like a lot of Oakland, and I think either that or also just some of the stuff that Black people in America have dealt with. We see these things, so even when this film gets really really weird, it's commentary for a larger thing. And I feel like so many people are going to miss out on that. They're going to say it's a good film, but I don't think they're going to understand the subtle things. But actually, not even the subtle thing. The subtle things, so some of the subtle things they'll get, but the really over-the-top things, like when it gets really, really weird at the end with, it just gets weird. I'll just leave it there. I think some people are going to miss what that's about.
And it's, if you take where we are now to its both logical and extreme conclusion, that's where this movie goes. Because it completely makes sense on why the characters go where they go and why the story goes where it goes, but it's to the most like wacky extreme.
I'm just finding out who Demarius was. I'm looking at the casting list. I'm like, oh, son of a bitch.
Voices, if you look at the cast list of the voice actors that they use,
yeah,
it's first of all, I don't even know how Boots got all these people.
Yeah,
like I honestly don't know. Like some of them, I get, like I get why Lakeith Stanfield's in it. I get why Tessa Thompson is in it. Danny Glover too. Danny Glover lives here in the Bay, so you see him in. Like, he's one of those people that even though he's famous, you could run into Danny Glover walking around. But some of these people who are doing like really small parts are huge names.
Army
Like there's
Hammer.
a voice.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Uh, there's a voice, the random voice that I didn't pick up on, so I saw it when I looked at the cast list. Rosario Dawson does a voice.
Mm-hmm. I just noticed that going through the casting list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Army Hammer to me has, from in my opinion, washed the taste out of my mouth. And while I haven't seen this film, just knowing how bad it was, that Lone Ranger film, like he's actually good. He's actually really, really good at acting. And should get more things because he's good in here as Steve Lift, and which is kind of like a play on, I guess, Steve Jobs and Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk, and basically all these, white billionaires who, and he's basically like so the whole concept is, Cassie is working for the telemarketer company, and the whole thing is selling people and making a sale. That's all you're working on commission. You got to make this sale anyway. And they're telling him, he's told that you got to use your white voice. You got to use your white voice to kind of make these white people feel comfortable and talk to them as if you're not worried about your job and you're just their best friends. And you see, there's also this commentary of him. The more the different things he's selling is, the more he's almost like selling out on his humanity. And it's just, like I said, it feels real in today's society. I think this was a very, very relevant film. Phenom, what did you think?
I mean, for me, the part that I like all of the subtle commentary stuff that you're talking about. I like all of the commentary about being Black in a white workplace in corporate America, the whole rise to the top, the become a power caller type drive initiative that they try to find in you. The way the whole film opens with the job interview and how he wins over the guy in that interview, and it's like, this is so surreal and such bullshit, but it's what I deal with on a daily basis and like regular side conversations. I think the thing that I appreciated the most is the crazy part at the end where you're just like, oh my God, all hell is broken loose, and how that plays out, because that's the shit that I sit and think about when I see people posting articles about like what Trump is doing or what this congressman is doing or what this football player got in trouble for or what this white guy did randomly on a Friday afternoon in fucking Florida and was able to survive and not get shot to death for doing. Like that stuff, when I'm in my mind and I'm going, it can get crazier from here because this just pushed the bar forward into more insane shit being able to happen. So when the end of this film happens, I'm like, this could logically fucking happen because
it's
are so goddamn dumb that they would allow it to happen. Like they would actually see the positives in the shit that's being done to people at the end of this film. You hear it in regular debates and arguments all the time. I sat and watched a YouTube clip of high school students debating why they should be allowed to put Confederate flags on their trucks in fucking Kansas, which isn't even a southern fucking state. And they really believed the bullshit that they were saying, as dumb as it fucking was and as miseducated as they were. And I keep thinking these people will turn into adults. They will grow up. So if you think that a company would not be able to push this bullshit and be like, look how big your so-and-so would be, look how fucking strong you would be, and people wouldn't be like, you know what, dog? I kind of see why that might not be that fucking bad. And it wouldn't be able to be sold to people. You're asinine. Like, our fucking president is Donald fucking Trump right now, and he has committed every fucking atrocity possible in the face of America and gets applauded for it by at least 53%. So if you think that shit can't happen and this film just goes over the top and you don't get it, you're full of shit. But that's what gets me. It's like there's no boundary anymore. And I think that's what this film sets up towards the end. This film is like, there is no boundaries, right?
But that's the thing.
People are capable of doing this shit. We have the intelligence to do it, and we're stupid enough to fall for it at the same time. It's that dynamic that is crazy about humanity. So I love that shit.
But that's the thing. It's like, even in this film, it's gradual, right? Like, this film gradually starts off with, okay, this is real. This could happen. Then you start seeing things in the background. Then you start seeing it getting more and more ridiculous. And then by the time you get to the end of the film, you're like, what the fuck is going on? How did we get here? You're like, oh shit, there actually was a straight line here. It was like the natural progression here. And this is definitely something that could happen because, like you said, it's really, really real.
And I like that all of their characters have faults. Even like Jermaine Fowler's character and Stephen Yin's character have faults. Tessa Thompson's character is so flawed in this movie, and yet it's still the pinnacle voice of reason.
Yeah.
At certain points, I was like, she's mad at him, but she's living with this motherfucker. So I don't even understand how you can be woke right now. Yeah, but okay.
Yeah,
sure.
Go ahead.
Everybody wants to be woke, but everybody wants to be comfortable too. Like
right. Go, Shanna.
You do this no more. I was like, but you was just doing it. Like,
I love this movie because even the way they do it. I don't know if you guys saw Incredible Jessica James on Netflix. I love the way they do the stuff where he is actually on the phone call with the people.
Mm-hmm.
Like the way they just kind of drop it in, because then it gives it that. It's early in the movie, so you're still kind of like getting like, what is the vibe of this? And so it still feels kind of upbeat the way they do that stuff, where like he just falls into the person's living room while he's talking to them. So you're kind of like, oh, this is just like very comedic or whatever. So by the time you get to the part where it just goes completely off the rails and it just turns dark, they've made this world kind of so crazy that you just go with it. But also it's very realistic at the same time. In terms of like where they shot, like they literally shot in bars that I used to frequent in my 20s. And when I say frequent, I was there like 2-3 times a week. Like those are spots that people go to regularly to this day. It's all like filmed. There's no sets. It's all filmed in like houses and bars and on the streets. There's even his apartment where it's filmed. I didn't know there were apartments in that building, but I know exactly what building it was filmed in.
What was the name of the like? It's basically a prison. They were like, what was the name of the thing? God damn it!
Don't worry.
Yeah, it was like
whatever.
Worry Free. Was it?
Is the name of the, and then they have like.
Say it again, Shanna.
Worry Free is the name of the company.
Okay.
And then they have like doors that the people live in.
Right. I mean, there's so much of this commentary in the film, like, you know, basically the whole commentary in the background is like making people work so hard, not make a living wage, and basically make it legal slavery, which is kind of like commentary about what Walmart was doing. Companies like Walmart were doing, where they make and even Amazon, if you think about it. I really feel like it's a really good comment. It's Steve Lift, so you think Steve Jobs, but I really feel like more along the lines of like Jeff Bezos.
Yeah, it's supposed to be Amazon.
Yeah,
like that. Amazon people working 90-hour shifts so that you can like get your package in 2 days.
Right.
By the way, I love getting my package in 2 days.
Right, but that's the thing about that's the thing that the film does. It's like it's almost like we're all complicit in this, because going back to Tessa Thompson's character, like she at one point gets like, you're kind of selling out, you're crossing the picket line, I can't do this anymore. If you do it again, then I'm gonna leave you. And don't get me wrong, like, guess he's a piece of shit at some point in this film, but it's like, you were fine for so much of this, Tessa. Like Detroit, her name is Detroit. You were fine for so much of this, and like I said, you're living you're laying in this apartment with him. You're riding when he gets his brand new fucking like Maserati. You're riding around in that when he picks you up on your street corner when you're doing your performance. Like, you're fine with living the comforts of this shit for now, and now all of a sudden you can't do it, you're kind of enabling him when you're going along with this, even though he's probably way more wrong than she is. But it kind of shows you that we're all kind of complicit in this thing, and that it's not really the individuals, but the way the system is set up, and that you have to do this.
But is she more right than him? Because she does nothing in the film but be in the right places when necessary for some action. She's so all over the place. And he's just fucking disheveled. But even to the point where they got later in her character and she chastised him for something that she turned around and did later on. I was like, wait a minute. I get that y'all woke, but yo, come on, man. And it's like Cash is doing what, and yeah, he is a piece of shit at certain points for the way they throw stuff in people's face. The argument that he and Jermaine Fowler have in the middle of the street when before he walks back into that building was so the compliment argument was so fucking good. It was perfect. It was perfect. It was like I'm better than you argument, so let me be better than you. And that's literally their argument just turned into insults of being better than you. I'm killing you with kindness. Like literally my nigga was killed. They were killing each other with kindness. And stuff like that, I feel like Bootsy like nailed. But I also feel like he nailed the fact that so many people who want to have a voice are so full of shit. They are so fucking full of shit.
Well, think about that. There's that one. At one point, Green gets hit with a can. The white girl who threw the can, even her later on, you see is like, oh, you just use that to get ahead and make yourself famous and get a TV show.
That's how it happens. It happens like that all the fucking time. They're like, oh, I'm the voice of reason, and the next thing you know, you see that motherfucker in that blue vest everywhere. If they would have put her in a blue vest and had her popping up at different organized events, I would have been like, oh my God.
Well, I love it because it was both that and then it was also the Pepsi commercial. It was the Kylie Jenner Pepsi commercial. Kinder, one of them.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're right. I love the subtle things they did, like between Tessa Thompson's character Detroit, her between her earrings and her shirts. The things that happen in the background,
prepare those earrings. By the way, you can go to sorrytobotheryou.com and order yourself a pair of those.
Oh, they actually do have the earrings. That's amazing. That is amazing.
Even the stickers that she twisted the signs in front of, like there was always like a discount liquor something.
Yep.
Or that I was like, these are not establishments that she's hired by to spit signs in front of.
Well, there's. I want to see this film again because there's so much subtle stuff in the background that the way the film is shot, you see it for a glimpse. And you're like, wait, did I just see what I think I saw? Like some of the names of like
billboards, how the billboards change.
Yes,
the one with scratched out the words and changed the whole meaning of the baby daddy billboard. Mm-hmm. I thought was great. And later on, somebody's poster on their wall.
Yeah, when the way it's like worry free, like if you worked here, you be home already, and then it'll change to something else where it's like worry free. It's okay, even though it's slavery. Like it just changes like subtly in the background every time you look at something slightly different.
One of that and the picture he had of, I guess that was maybe his father or whatever, that constantly changes.
Yeah,
which I thought I was like
yeah,
excitement, disappointment, thumbs down. Like that shit was great.
Like there was one that was like one of the worry free billboards was like, be the baby daddy that she wants you to be, or something like that. It was like. They're so offensive, like subtly offensive. You're like, what the fuck? Like, little things like the elevator when he becomes a power caller and the way that the elevator basically like plays up to his like sexuality and him being like, yes, this computer basically saying, I wish I wasn't a computer. I could have hands so I could stroke your big cock or something like that. You're just like, what the fuck is this? What are you doing?
But even like the onboarding or whatever class, it wasn't an onboarding class, but the meeting that they had in the call center where they bring in Diane and she is the most like befuddled fucking instructor ever, and she doesn't actually know or give a shit about shit. And she's like, I'm sorry, I haven't learned all of your names yet, but I'm going to do that. And you're like, fuck if you are.
Yo,
I love that it's that meeting we've all sat in, that training that every single person has sat in, where the person's like, because what it's really about, it's about synergy, it's about working together, and you give, I give, and it's just give and taking this back and forth. And and that's what we're gonna do because we're a team and we care about each other, right? Right? And everybody's sitting here like, no, I'm literally here to make a check.
Yeah, and I don't even know arm. You don't work in this office.
Exactly. They brought you in for the day, ma'am. I need you to back up.
Yo, what is this?
Raw for an hour and I miss a lunch break. Like what is this? Oh, and at the end, everybody got cake in a Coca-Cola can.
Right. What did they say? What did she say her name was? Because it's spelled debauchery, but she was like, "No, it's not that. It's like debauchery,
debauchery, or something like that."
Debauchery. He's like, "Well, it looks like debauchery to me."
Nigger.
Like, this film is so funny, but also so real. And yeah, I mean, I think it's a really good. I think once it opens wide and people see it, I think there's going to be a lot of commentary on it, because I also don't feel like it's. I think this is one of those films that, unlike, like, I really like the movie Dope, right? But a lot of people came in, they were like, they had their, everybody was just not really happy. I don't see how you can be mad at this film, because it's not overly preachy, right? It's basically just kind of telling you how things are. And it's a really good commentary on white supremacy and the capitalistic system we're in right now. But it's also not like overly preachy about blackness, which I feel like some of these films, when they do this, I feel like some people, and I don't say that, it's not my opinion, but I feel like some people always find some way to pick it apart. Like, I just don't feel like that's what this film does.
Like, and just to pick y'all's brains, what do y'all think was the whole, like, the metaphor behind Omari Hardwick's character not actually having a name?
Yeah, that's something that's like a really good question that I feel like nobody has asked or answered yet.
Right. But it's blatantly obvious. Like, they make sure to not say his name or to blurb it out every time, even his first name.
Yeah.
He's like, Mr. Call me, and then, like, every time, even when Armie Hammer says it, it's always buzzed out.
Well, even in
always.
I was wondering if maybe it's supposed to be a commentary on the fact that he's not himself anyway.
Mm-hmm.
That he's a role.
Mm-hmm.
Like, his character isn't a real person. Like, his character just whatever.
Say it again. You broke up there.
Like, his character, he seems to pretend to be whatever it is to get ahead. So it kind of just feels like maybe he doesn't need a name. Like, he doesn't have a real persona. It doesn't matter what his name is.
Well, I think that's what it is, because if you think about it, because what ends up happening, and without spoiling too much of this film, what ends up happening is Green gets ahead because he kind of is the different black guy in this crowd of white people, right? And that's what makes him stand out from this Mr. Nobody. Omari Hardwick's character was basically, he's a black guy, but he's kind of like also nobody. He's just there. He's not the black guy that has that something that the head white guy wants that he can exploit. He's almost too much of an ass kisser, and almost too much of, he's too blatant with it. Whereas I think Liv feels like Green has that quote unquote street in him, and he can exploit that and use that for what he wants. And I think maybe that's what that is. That you have those black people who are too much of a brown nosers, and then you have the ones who feel like they're like the Candace Owens. I'm a free thinker, and those are the ones that still get exploited too. But they're free thinkers, so they're different. Because there's that scene in the mansion where they ask Green to tell the story. You grew up in the hood, tell me something, and he ends up turning to being that black guy at the white party, who has to basically perform for white people to keep them engaged and entertain them. I mean, all they really had to do was break out some tap dance shoes for him at that point, right? That's really what he was doing.
The film is that though, like the whole, and it's funny how the whole film is him having to put on a performance for everybody, and it goes up in degrees of how long he has to do it the further the movie moves along. But it's funny because that actually doesn't come from outsiders; it comes from Danny Glover.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first person who tells him to fake it till you make it. And we do each other all the time.
Right. But even Danny Glover was like, yo, dude, you're going too far. Like, you fake it till you make it, but don't forget where you came from, which kind of what Green does. He kind of forgets how he got to where he is and forgets all the people. He gets too into it that
I look at I feel like there like needs to be a class on this movie.
Oh, absolutely.
And all of the different discussions that you could have because of all the conflictions, because Danny, like from my perspective, Danny Glover does look at him and go, okay, you've taken it too far. And Cassius Green does to an extent take it too far. But at the same time, would you rather be Cassius Green or would you rather be in Danny Glover's position where they're outside trying to get like decent pay? Right? Like he's not in a better position. He kept it real and his ass has been real downstairs working telemarketing in a call center over this white voice that he's proud of, but has never actually gotten him anywhere. Not to say that, and Cassius actually gets somewhere from making sales, but he's losing part of himself doing it. Does that not mean that Danny Glover hasn't also been losing part of himself every day he's coming to work in that facility?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think is that Danny Glover's character he's there to make money, and he's like, look, let me like teach you to hustle so that you can make a decent amount here. So you're just not sitting here getting hung up on, like, you have to make a certain amount of commission to make some money, right? So he's like, look, let me give you the hustle. This is how you do it. But I don't think Danny Glover aspires to be a power caller. He's there to get a check. Whereas Cassius, like, as you watch the movie, you realize the reason he's so into this is not the money. It's like the first time in his life in a while that he's felt useful, that he's felt competent at something. So like he gets mad at his girlfriend because she keeps bringing up high school. There's like, when Cash was in high school, he's like, why you keep bringing that up? Because he hasn't felt useful or competent since high school. And so that's really where his motivation is coming from. Whereas Danny Glover's like, let me just put you up on game so you walk away with a decent check. He's not trying to be out here being a power caller.
Right. Because Cash also had that whole thing where, he was thinking about, when I die, what happens? Like, what happened? What happens? It was like the very, very beginning of the movie when he's talking to Detroit. It's like, well, what happens when everybody who knows you dies? Like, anybody basically, if anybody remember you, like, what happens then? And so he's trying to feel useful, trying to leave something behind. In a way also because you have the picture of his dad, trying to make his dad proud. And it's one of those things that where you're like, you see him kind of, quote unquote, sell out because he does. But at the same time, you're like, man, I kind of understand why he does. Because it's like, he's literally living in his uncle's garage with a garage door that opens up on him and his girlfriend. They're basically about to have sex. He has a car that's so fucked up and so beat up. They literally have to manually use the wipers where his girlfriend's on one side, he's on the other side, and they have a string and they pull one side and it pulls the other one when it's raining. Like, you totally understand where he's like, I finally made it. I'm a power caller now. I'm somebody. He immediately has Diana like looking at him basically, all up on him, basically like, you're somebody special. And he feels like he finally gets something that he's never had before. And it is kind of hard to bring this back to real life. It is kind of hard to take people that have had nothing, finally make them feel like they're important, finally give them some money, feel like they can put food on the table, feel like they have some self-respect and they can actually, live a life without feeling like where their money's coming from, and then tell them it's like, yeah, but that's the wrong way to do it. You got to give all that shit up, and here's how you got to do it. You got to unionize. You got to think of the greater good. Like, that's hard to do. And
Well, I feel like the film is also a commentary on the group of people who do just enough, right?
Yep.
Or it like not almost satisfactory for everything, and then start to make demands, and part of those demands are asking people who have gone above that satisfactory mark, who to now who've done above average, to now come back down and help, or oh, you can help us at your position, but it literally is in those in that corporate world, what the fuck can I actually do? Because I'm up here, I'm just a smaller number, but I'm still a fucking number. Like when Stevian's character asked him, you can help us at that level, I was like, what the fuck can he do? And it's like this reach back down type of concept. But if you are like a Danny Glover, then there's nothing to reach back down to, because you're complacent in your position. Because you getting what you need. You come in, you work, you get the paper, you go home.
But I felt like he was, he was reaching out to Cash. Like he's like, let me put, he's just like an old head. He's like, let me put this young brother on. Let me show him, the basics of how to do this. I didn't feel like I felt like Danny Glover, he cared enough to show him, like, to give him some tips, but he's not like, and now go be this crazy person up in the top office. Or maybe he never figured it out. Maybe he just is the type of person who always just did just enough.
But that's what I'm saying.
The Squeeze wanted him
to be great. I think he's doing exactly what you were saying, and it's like, yo, this is all you need to be satisfactory. Mm-hmm. And Cassius took that and like legit ran with that shit. Did more. He turned it into being above average instead of just being satisfactory. And then that shit got to his head, because you really start feeling yourself. So now you turn into this fucking asshole who has kind of lost his own ground. But it's also some jealousy and shit in that, because I like how they did the whole montage of his sales and how you see the celebratory shit go from, yeah, you're the man, Cash, to, man, we don't give a fuck about your sales, bro. Shut up, nigga, sit down. Mm-hmm. And he even says to himself, I probably should sit down and get back to work now.
Yeah.
Instead of celebrating with you.
Well, they also show you the tier system of the more money he makes and the higher up he goes, the more of his moral standing he has to erase, and the more he ends up fucking over other people. Because it gets to the point where at one point he starts realizing, to be a power user, he's going to have to selling people on basically the slave labor of what is it?
Worry-free.
Huh?
Worry-free.
Worry-free. The worry-free. Basically selling slavery to foreign countries for, slave labor. So it's like, how much of this do you want? And and he makes different allowances as well. Well, it's not really slave labor. Is this, is that, and you start seeing that the higher up he goes, the more and more his morals he has to throw away. And I think that's something that everybody has to deal with at some point. It gets to a point where you're working certain jobs, you're making good money. At what point do you sit there and go, man, I don't want to go any higher because I'm not trying to do what you guys do. Like, you really, like, I'm just here for a job. And I think, again, going back to Danny Glover's character, I think that's what he was. He's like, this is just a job. It pays my bills. I'm not really buying into this stuff. Whereas Cassius, he was like, yo, so I want to be a power user. I want to buy into this. I want to get this money. And like you said, he lost himself.
I think the only thing that Cassius was buying into was the way it made him feel. Oh, yeah. And the shit that he was buying into. He wasn't buying into the whole selling people as slavery shit. He was just buying into the fact that what that did for him, like, put more zeros on my check, and I'm cool with it. Which is funny, because even at the level of telemarketer, they make sure to throw one of those calls in there where he's trying to sell something to a woman whose husband is dying of cancer.
Yeah.
And his script makes him flip that. It literally says on the script, use like their grievances or something like that to actually sell something to them And it might as well have just said, use the situation they presented to you over the phone to sell them some bullshit that they don't need, no matter what the situation is. Because that's what he does. He like takes the cancer and flips it. And he's like, well, we have these catalogs that are about ways to eat healthy to avoid cancer, which is useless to her because her husband already has fucking cancer. So any preventative measures don't do shit for her. But it's still his way of, I guess I'll chip away at my moral high ground to try to get this sale. So even at that level, it's not selling slaves, definitely, but it's still fucked up morale.
And stick to the script. Stick to the script.
At that level.
Right.
Where you're getting paid shit to be shit.
I think I have to take this moment to also say, if there's ever a movie that has Tessa Thompson, Zoe Kravitz, and Lupita in it, I'm just watching it. Don't give a fuck what it is. Don't even care if it's good. You put those three
in an MCU movie, and then we get that.
I'm just saying, and look, I'm just saying, you put them in a movie, I'm watching that shit. So I love Tessa Thompson so much. She's great in this film. Like her character's fucking nuts. Fucking character's crazy. Like that scene, her performance art at the end. Again, deep.
Can I humble brag?
Oh God, here we go.
So the film, one night there was a thing on Twitter that was like, yo, Oakland people, we need some folks for this scene that we're doing. Who wants to come through? And then my friend was like, hey, I love Boots Riley. He's doing this thing. Do you want to go be an extra with me? And I was like, okay. And we went, and it was that scene at the performance art in the gallery.
Did you throw any?
I did. I threw stuff at Tessa Thompson. Also, at one point, there was like a scene and she like walked over. And so I got to talk to her for a little bit. And Stephen Yeun was there looking gorgeous. And I saw Lakeith Stanfield. And yeah, and the art that they used in the scene, like the art that's supposed to be her art, is actually a friend of mine. He's an artist named Gadinji, and he does these huge installation things of Africa. I actually have a small piece in my house. So it was pretty cool.
Get the fuck off the podcast. I don't want to hear anybody ever complain about my humble brags anymore. After the shit you just pulled there.
I just don't understand. When I asked you, did you get to throw things at her? Your first thing should have been, yeah, these digits. But that's not what you said. I feel like that was a missed opportunity, man.
No, I mean, it was all, but I was trying to be professional. I've been on a set before, so I was trying to be professional.
You were trying to be professional.
I did. I talked to Lakeith, and that was the night I talked to him, and I told him about your podcast and how y'all do the reviews. So I was thinking about you.
I appreciate that because we saw him after that. He was cool. And now he does stuff on Instagram, and I'm kind of like, people need to take his Instagram away because I don't know if you know how to act.
I know. It's so messed up.
If you can see my face
it was
right
super fun. Yeah, and Stephen Young.
Yeah, you just gotta, it's fun. You just gotta go things as Tessa Thompson and see her and everything. What does she smell like?
It was after the scene where we threw the fake blood on her. So.
Fake blood.
I mean, still didn't answer my question.
You smell like fake blood.
He smelled like black excellence. That's what she smelled like.
There you go. Thank you very much. That's all I needed to hear. Okay, thank you.
Also, not as tall as I thought. Like in my mind, she was much taller. Well, I thought she was at least taller than me. But I'm pretty sure we're about the same height. I had on heels, like short heels, and she also had on heels. So I think we're about the same height.
She's wonderful.
Mm-hmm. And I got to see her in that bikini thing that she was wearing. It was like really cool.
All right, so you know what? I'm just gonna, you're never invited back onto a podcast before we do our movie review because this is just. This is how deep Palm feels when I do this. Is that what this is? Oh wow, that does suck. Because I owe Deep Palm an apology. He's not gonna get it, but damn, man, that's fucked up. So out of 10, what would you guys give this film?
10, like obvious 10. I enjoyed it. I get like I feel like my blackness cannot let me give it another rating.
You know,
I'm going with a 9 out of 10 because all them hands was covering up too much stuff. Yeah, some of those fingers could have moved. If we needed a film with some amputees in it, it was this one. Could have been missing.
I'm giving it a 10. And again, that's why I literally had to go to the bathroom after the movie, and I heard that motherfucker say that. I was like, oh, can't do this. I was like, I'll hold it on the way home. I'm not about to argue. I'm not about to argue with somebody.
I was like, didn't you walk in there? And then I walked past the bathroom. You came out the other side. I was like, well, that was after watching that whole Bootsy Riley film. You know what? This actually makes sense. Maybe time and continuity just aren't of the essence anymore.
No. I literally was like, not doing this, and I kept going. I was like, because I'm gonna get mad. So let me just keep walking and not because it's there was a white guy on the left of me, I think. He was getting some of the stuff, but it's like I feel like this is another film where white people are gonna laugh at some scenes, but I don't think they understand the full meaning of them. And there's certain things like I was kind of keeping my eye on some white people that were there at a screener, and I was like, I don't think they get certain things, like they didn't get the left eye thing, which me and we died laughing. Like as soon as they said that shit, I was like, you sons of bitches. And I just feel like some white person going, I don't get it. Like, are they football players? Why are they only doing one eye? And I'm just like, I
just did this shit. Like,
right,
come on,
right. I'm over here just like, son of a bitch. Like, me and Phenom over here dying, and some white people just sitting there going, that's an interesting choice there. I don't understand. Maybe it's artistic, and I'm just like, oh, God damn.
Oh, and, I also give this film 9 out of 10 because there was like a 6-year-old child 2 seats away from me.
That is not the fault of the movie, man. Cannot, but you're right. I was like, that child is seeing a lot of dick. I mean,
like all of this is not like this child is gonna grow up and be like, this is one of the first films I saw. And my whole understanding of everything is a bit off now.
Stop bringing your kids to R-rated films, folks.
Yo, and kept her there. Like, y'all just gotta let this one go and come back as 2 adults, no kid.
Hey, you know what though? Because I don't think the kid didn't make a lot of noise, did it? It wasn't. No. So you know
she
what?
was asking,
huh?
She was like asking questions.
Oh.
I just feel like it is the most uncomfortable. Like, I get that you have no couth, but it is really uncomfortable for me to be sitting in a movie with a child that is too young for the movie. It makes me really uncomfortable.
She didn't even have like an iPad to play on. I was like,
well, you can't in the screener. You can't in the screener. You can't even give them something. You can't give them a phone. They have to watch that screen.
Kriss, the girl in the screener was on her phone the whole film. Beside me. The whole film. She was sending text messages the whole movie. In the press seat.
I don't get it. I don't understand. Again, I get the idea that, you know, I understand that some parents, you know, literally just you can't find a babysitter, you can't get out, you really want to see a movie, but I feel like you can wait. At this point, there's so much stuff out there to watch, and so much entertainment, particularly on streaming and things like that. Like, I just don't see the appeal of dragging your kid to a movie that they're probably too young to see. Because, like, and again, you know what? Who knows? Maybe this is a good parent, and they're going to take that kid and have a conversation with them after everything they saw. That's a great parent. But if you don't do that, and I think especially for the film like this, and now you just for like the adult themes things,
the parent isn't going to understand everything that happens in this film.
Right. And so that's my thing. It's like, this is a film you really have to discuss with people. And so if you bring a kid to this film, beside the graphic, like, sex, which, again, it's there, but, like, look, I grew up, I watch R-rated movies, too. Not in the theater, but my parents would just, like, cover my eyes or a sex scene or something like that, right? There's not enough of that there in the film. But overall, there's just a lot of like really like important social commentary that if your kid watches this, I feel like you have to have a discussion with them. But like you said, Shannon, it's like it's not something that I need to have a discussion with other adults first before I even think about talking about anything I saw with kids. Like I need to have the discussion with you guys. Then I'm gonna read interviews from Boots Riley and other people who are involved with this film to find out what their takes are on this. Because I feel like this is just I'm gonna rethink pieces. I usually don't rethink pieces on movies. I'm gonna rethink pieces on this movie because I feel like it's important to have these discussions, and then maybe we can talk about having this discussion with like maybe teenagers. But that was a kid. Like again, this is why I don't have kids. Because I have a dog. I don't have kids because I wouldn't be me. Wouldn't be me. All right, do you guys have it? Go ahead.
I do know that the director said that he like Boots. I think he said he started writing this like 5 or 6 years ago. And so like some of the stuff that he put in the movie, like either he had to change because then real stuff happened that was too close to what he had already written, or it was like he would be looking at stuff that he written and stuff would happen and he'd be like, I can't believe I was just being wacky. I didn't think that would actually happen. So yeah, that's what the life of a writer in Trump's America is like.
All right, folks. So there you guys have it. That is our review for Sorry to Bother You. This is also the team that is going to San Diego Comic-Con next week. By the time you hear this, so make sure you follow us all on Twitter. You know where you can find us at. Our Instagram and YouTube, same thing. MTR Network. Our Twitter account, the MTR Network. Go to mtrnetwork.com. Check out our Comic-Con Central page where we'll be putting up articles. We're actually doing something different this year. We're actually doing some pre-con articles, so we get more of those out. Talking about that. Got a lot of covers coming out. We're going through our schedule now. We'll be getting more things confirmed, and if even half of the stuff we have so far come through, we will have a lot of stuff we're bringing back from the convention. So make sure you check that out and you wait for us on that. Also, if you want to help support us financially, we're running a deal right now because this is 5 years, 5th year of us covering San Diego Comic-Con. If you put a code in SDCC 2018, you can get 20% off a year subscription. Right now, you can go to mtrnetwork.net and go to the premium page and you'll see it there. And we'll also be in the show notes here. So make sure you guys do that. And just stay tuned. We got a lot of stuff coming out. Until next time, we're out of here. Peace.